Welcome back to 5 Minutes with Alan and Troy. Here we go again, Mr. Hack. Now, I'm going to cut straight into this one. I assume before we get started that the week's been good?
Yes, I'm ready to go, Troy.
Don't want to forget my manners. All right, so look, we often talk about marketing in an offensive way, right? How to cut through, reach more people, all that stuff. But what about the use of a domain name in a defensive position? What's your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to category-defining domains, we're talking about domain names that define multi-million, sometimes multi-billion, sometimes even trillion-dollar categories. I think it's important for companies, particularly brands that already have an established brand, to really consider the power of acquiring a generic category-defining domain for defensive purposes, even if they don't have a clear vision. Because once you acquire a domain name, even if your initial intention is for defensive purposes, you always then have the opportunity to become focused on a potential vision in the future of how you could really use that business, that generic domain to complement your brand and grow additional market share. But just from a defensive purpose, there's really two things that brands are either cognizant of or not fully cognizant of that I think is important when it comes to looking at acquiring a domain name purely for defensive reasons. One is the competition they're already aware of. So many brands are very focused on, very hyper aware of the other competitors in their space that are vying for market share. And so imagine if a great generic descriptive domain name fell into the hands of a known competitor that has resources, that has skills, that's competing every day for market share with your company, perhaps leading in certain arenas in market share. Imagine if they got the domain name that defined the category that you're competing head to head in every single day. What's their ability to then potentially either take market share that they already are leading in and grow it, or if they're just below you, capture additional market share? That literally could result in hundreds of thousands, if not millions or tens of millions of dollars in lost business, whereas the cost of acquiring even a high six or a low seven-figure domain name could be lost like that just from an existing competitor that brands know about capturing more market share. That's one thing that's already on most brands' minds. The thing that is less on their minds, but we know is out there because we've actually facilitated domain transactions for what we call entrepreneurs or disruptors, is they're not even on the radar of an existing brand. And if an entrepreneur and a disruptor was able to acquire a category-defining domain name, it literally gives them the ability to leapfrog into a marketplace and capture market share and come literally out of nowhere, where an existing brand that's looking at their competitors vying here and there, all of a sudden someone leaps into the market share and leaps into the market and grabs a bunch of market share, and they weren't even on the radar of the brand. I'll give you a specific example that I'm dealing with right now. I can't give the domain name, but I'm currently speaking to some young entrepreneurs. I would call them entrepreneur disruptors, and they are looking at investing in a category-defining domain name because they have the vision to disrupt an industry with their skills and their vision. And I know, based on what they've shared with me, I've seen their business plan, that if they acquire this category-defining domain, they will leapfrog into a market and capture significant market share. And I can tell you, they're not even on the radar of any of the major players in that space. So I really want to emphasize to brands that not only should you be looking at domain names, category defining or descriptive generic domains for offensive or marketing and business development purposes based on a vision you already have, but think about the ability that another party who acquires that domain name will have to disrupt you and capture market share from you which in and of itself will result in a significant loss of business and revenue in a way that if you own that domain name, you literally could prevent.
It's true. It's a great investment to protect your patch. I mean, business names are usually, geographically restricted, but when it comes to .coms, for example, I mean, they're global. There's no other way to own hotels as a category than by owning hotels.com, really. So, I think you're spot on here that brands should certainly be looking to own their category defining name. All right.
Yes, purely initially for defensive purposes. And the great thing is, once they own it, they can always
pivot.
More clear on a vision.
They can always pivot. Perfect. All right, we did well. I think we made 5 minutes. We might have went over on this one, but good job nonetheless. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.
All right. Have a great week, Troy. Thanks.